At 6:47 a.m. on June 6, 1944, Commander Samuel Dei stood in the cramped conning tower of the American submarine USS Harter, watching 3 Japanese destroyers cut through the moonlit waters near Tawi. Minizuki, Hayanami, Tanikaz, they were hunting him with precision. Dei was 37 years old, 5 war patrols, 18 enemy ships destroyed. This was no routine encounter. The Imperial Japanese Navy had issued a direct order: find and kill the submarine that had been terrorizing their supply lines for weeks. Until 1944, American submarines avoided Japanese destroyers at all costs. The math was brutal. A destroyer could outrun, outgun, and outmaneuver a submerged submarine. Between 1941 and early 1944, Japanese destroyers had sunk 14 American subs. Not one American submarine had ever sunk a Japanese destroyer in a direct engagement. Every captain knew the rule. When a destroyer finds you, you dive, you run, and you pray. Commander Dei refused to accept that rule. On April 13, 1944, when the destroyer Ikazuchi charged Harter at full speed, Dei did the unthinkable. He ordered flank speed straight at the enemy. At 900 yards, he fired 4 torpedoes. 2 hit. Ikazuchi exploded and sank in minutes. Dei's radio report became legendary: expended 4 torpedoes and 1 destroyer. The Japanese High Command did not find it amusing. By late May, the Japanese had concentrated their mobile fleet at Tawi, battleships, carriers, cruisers, and nearly 30 destroyers. American codebreakers knew it. Admiral Lockwood sent Harter into the area to strike targets of opportunity. For 9 days, Dei operated undetected. Then, just after midnight on June 6th, a patrol plane spotted his periscope wake. 3 destroyers closed in. There would be no escape. Dei aimed straight down the throat of the lead ship, Minizuki. At 900 yards, he fired and dove. Seconds later, explosions ripped through the sea. Minizuki broke in half and sank. The remaining destroyers fled in confusion. The next night, Dei surfaced to recharge batteries. Radar contact appeared, another destroyer, Hayanami. Dei attacked on the surface at night, something Japanese commanders believed impossible. 2 torpedoes tore the ship apart. 2 destroyers in 24 hours. On June 8th, Dei struck again, sinking Tanikaz in daylight. 3 destroyers in 3 days. On June 9th, he attacked a formation of 4 destroyers and destroyed 1 more before surviving a brutal depth charge attack that nearly crushed the submarine. 4 destroyers in 4 days. The strategic shock was immediate. Japanese admirals concluded that Tawi was no longer safe. The mobile fleet departed early, 6 days ahead of schedule. American intelligence intercepted the movement. U.S. carriers repositioned. On June 19, 1944, the 2 fleets met in what became the Battle of the Philippine Sea. The result was catastrophic for Japan. 3 carriers sunk, hundreds of aircraft destroyed, and the effective end of Japanese naval aviation. It became known as the Great Marianas Turkey Shoot. Commander Dei never lived to see the consequences of his actions. On August 24, 1944, Japanese escorts finally caught Harter. Perfect sonar contact. Depth charges bracketed the submarine. The pressure hull failed. Harter imploded at depth. All 79 men aboard were lost. But Dei's tactics lived on.
submarine commanders across the Pacific studied his patrol reports. Charging destroyers became doctrine. By war's end, American submarines using Dealey's methods sank hundreds of Japanese warships and helped strangle Japan's ability to fight at sea. In 1946, President Truman awarded Dealey's Medal of Honor to his wife. In 2024, 80 years after her loss, Harter was discovered on the ocean floor, upright, intact, a war grave. 79 men rest there still. Commander Samuel Dei's headstone at Arlington bears a single line beneath his name, Medal of Honor, Destroyer Killer. They knew the odds. Submarine duty carried the highest casualty rate of the war. They volunteered anyway. Their patrol reports record numbers and victories, but they cannot capture the fear, the exhaustion, or the courage it took to charge a destroyer head-on in the dark. That is why stories like this matter. So these men are never lost to silence.